Low on vision, high on tech. Circleoftheblindmice.com.
Hey everybody, it's Tammy, your friendly neighborhood blind mouse that likes to babble about technology. As promised in my impromptu fumble through the YouTube live stream feature, I'm back with a video about my experience with the iPhone 7 Plus over the last 9 months. It was supposed to only last for 1 month, but as you can see, I'm still using the phone. And well, I wasn't just going to use it for 1 month, but I was going to use it as my daily driver for 1 month, and that's kind of stretched out. But I'll get to that at the end of the video. First though, I wanted to actually just talk about the magnifier. Somebody, and I'm so sorry I forget who it was, but somebody ages ago in the comments asked me to talk about the iPhone 7 Plus magnification accessibility feature. So I thought I would actually just demonstrate that today, as well as show you how you can actually have the home button bring up multiple accessibility options. If you want to adjust your settings so that you have, actually maybe I'll just back up and show you my
home
shortcut again.
Apps with home.
It's too early in the morning. I keep doing double tap instead of triple tap. Let's try this again. So you tipple tap. Oh, good lord! Can I go back to sleep now? Triple tap the home button,
Alert.
and you're going to get a little menu like this. So I've got on my particular menu. I've got
selected. Voiceover button. Magnifier button. Cancel button.
So we're gonna, before we go into the magnifier, I'm just gonna press cancel.
Messages.
I'm gonna go into settings and show you how you can get your accessibility features to show, or your shortcut rather, to show more than one option. So you're gonna tap on settings.
Actions of settings. Do not disturb settings.
Then you're gonna tap on general.
Button. Selected. General settings. Back button.
Then you're gonna tap on accessibility.
Accessibility button. Selected. Accessibility.
And then you're gonna just scroll all the way down to the bottom.
26 to 31 of 31.
And you're going to tap on accessibility shortcut. It's the very last option at the bottom.
Accessibility shortcut. App. Selected. Accessibility shortcut.
Once you're in the accessibility shortcut screen, you're going to have a whole bunch of different options. I've got magnifier and voiceover selected. So these, because if they're checkmarked, that means they're going to show up when you triple tap your home button. In addition to that, you can also choose invert colors, color filters, reduce white point, zoom, switch control, assistive touch, and that is actually it. So I just prefer to have voiceover and magnifier selected because those are the two features I use the most. I find I don't use zoom so much on an iPhone or a tablet because I find it's just really cumbersome on the smaller screen. I tend to use zoom for things like my actual desktop computer. One last thing before I exit this screen and get over to the magnifier, you can actually have every single one of these features selected. So I'll actually just show you.
Invert colors. Selected. Color filters. Selected. Color filter. Reduce white point. Selected. Reduce white point. Zoom. Selected. Zoom. Switch control. Selected. Switch control. Assistive touch. Selected. Assistive touch.
And then if we triple tap the home button,
Alert.
you've now got every single one of those listed. So I'll just demonstrate.
Accessibility shortcuts. Selected. Voiceover button. Invert colors button. Zoom button. Assistive touch button. Switch control button. Color filters button. Magnifier button. Reduce white point button. Cancel button. Cancel. Selected.
Before I move on to the magnifier, I'm just going to quickly disable all these. And you do that, by the way, by just selecting and double tapping each one, and then it will unselect it. Okay, so now I've just got the magnifier and voiceover selected as I originally had it. So now I'm going to bring up the magnifier, again by triple tapping the home button.
Alert. Accessibility magnifier button. Magnify. Magnifier.
And the first thing I'm going to say is the magnifier is completely compatible with VoiceOver, which is awesome. So thank you, Apple. Of course, they always think about, I was going to say everything, but I'll say they think about 99% of everything. But okay, so here we go. So it's a very, very simple interface. It simply just uses the iPhone camera, and I've got a little sticky pad here with the word test written out on it. I'm going to demonstrate this with VoiceOver for those of you who need that extra little bit of accessibility assistance with this, but you can easily use this with and without VoiceOver. So to change the magnification, you can either select this magnification control down here, which is the long line that goes from right to left with a minus sign and a plus sign beside it on each side. Or you can just simply tap the screen and swipe up or down. So you swipe up to magnify, to increase the magnification rather, and you swipe down to decrease the magnification. To lock and unlock the focus, there's this little picture of a lock, which is the second icon on the second row of buttons here.
Selected. Focus lock. Focus lock. Selected. Focus lock.
So you just double tap that if you're using VoiceOver on and off. If you're not using VoiceOver, of course, you're just going to single tap it. To the left of that, so this is the very first icon now on the second row of controls, is the flash. You can turn the flash on and off.
Flashlight. Button. Selected. Flashlight. Flashlight.
So we'll just leave the flash off. And then the third, or this middle button is the button for freeze frame. So I'm not going to press that right now. Well, actually, no, I will. Just 1 second.
Freeze frame. Dim.
So now I've got a freeze frame. So even though I'm actually literally, you can't tell, of course, because this is just a screenshot of my phone, but I am actually moving my phone right now, and you'll notice the picture is not moving. That's because I'm in freeze frame mode. Now, while you're in freeze frame mode, you can take the magnification level and increase it and decrease it.
1.5x, 1.0x, 2.3, 4.0x, 3.2, 1.0x, 1.0x.
Simply by swiping up or down on the screen.
Snapshot. 1.0x. Snapshot. 1.0x.
And then to bring back the controls, you just double tap your screen again if you've got VoiceOver running, or single tap it, of course, if VoiceOver is off. And then to exit out of freeze frame, you just double tap that freeze frame button if you're using VoiceOver. Again, single tap without.
Selected. Selected.
And now we go back to the live mode. Now, let me unlock the freeze frames, or the focus there. All right, so the other thing I'm just going to mention about freeze frame, and you might have heard it before when I tapped it, is when you first tap on freeze frame, it's going to give you an option if you swipe on the screen to... Actually, no, you wouldn't have heard it because you didn't swipe on the screen. But when you swipe on the screen, it's going to give you an option when you swipe up or down to save that picture. Here's the 1% where Apple didn't think of. It seems to only give you that option once when you first take that freeze frame. I have not been able to find that option again. If you decide not to save it at that time, you cannot go back to that option. So then you have to retake the undo freeze frame, redo it again, then swipe up or down to get that save option. So I'm gonna, again, I can't hear what my phone is doing right now, like I said, but I'm gonna tap the freeze frame again, and I'll just see if I can demonstrate that for you. So hopefully it will come through on the audio side.
Freeze frame button. Freeze frame dim.
So one of those options should have been to save it, but then if I don't save it and I do other stuff, it won't let me get back to that option. So now if I go back here,
6.0x selected. Freeze frame button. Snap save image.
Okay, so now we're back in the live view, so I'll continue on describing the controls. So again, back on the second line of controls, the last control on the right hand side is the filters control. So I'm going to just tap that and then double tap it to select it. All right, so now you've got 1, 2, 3 lines of controls. The top line is your filter. So we have got, you select the first one, it's none. And if you swipe up, it'll go to the next filter.
White/blue filter. Yellow/blue filter.
Yellow on blue, although to my eye that looks black, but it's apparently yellow on blue.
Grayscale filter.
Grayscale.
Yellow/black filter.
Yellow on black.
Red/black filter.
and red on black. Oh, that looks nasty. I can't see that. So while I am still on the filters, I'm actually going to, oh, and I just lost my writing. Where did I go? See, I told you red on black. Not good. I know some visual impairments. Oh, there it is. Yeah, you can tell. For my visual impairment, red on black is not a good idea. Anyhow, okay, so I'm going to actually skip this middle line for a second, which is the brightness line. And I'm actually going to go to, actually I'm going to skip the middle, two middle lines and go now here to the very bottom left-hand corner. There is an invert filter. So if you go in a filter and you find, oh, red on black, red text on a black background is not doing it for me, you can actually tap the invert option.
Invert filters button selected. Invert filters.
And everything disappears. That's not supposed to happen. Come on, text, where did you go? One moment. Oh, that still looks horrible. Okay, but you can see now it's black text on a red background. Oh, good Lord. Let's move to the next filter. So we're going to go back up to the filters and change it. Oh, that's better. Okay, so now we're on the black. Originally before this was yellow on black. Now it's black on yellow. So the names of the filters will actually change to the inverted name when you have the invert mode on. So now it's black on yellow.
Black/red filter. Black/yellow filter. Inverted grayscale filter.
We have got inverted grayscale. So now white on, or pardon me, black on white has now become white on black. And actually, let me go back to that hideous red on black for a second. If I can find the word again. There we go. There we go. Okay. So I'm actually going to show you the inverted and the regular mode on each filter. So again, we got black text on red.
Selected. Invert filters.
And now the text has disappeared on me again. Oof. There we go. Now we got red text on black. Good Lord, let's get out of there.
Yellow/black filter.
Okay, so now we're back to the yellow text on black. That's more livable for my eyes.
Invert filters button selected.
Now we've got. Did I say yellow text on black before? You know what I meant. Anyway, so now we're on the black text on yellow. So again, yellow text on black.
Selected.
Black text on yellow.
Current filter. Black/red filter. Black/yellow. Inverted grayscale filter.
Then we've got the inverted grayscale. So now that's showing white text on black.
Selected. Invert filters.
And black text on white, or it kind of looks gray, but anyway, you get the idea.
Yellow/blue filter.
And we have yellow text on blue. I still say that looks black, but whatever.
Invert filters.
So now we'll flip that around.
Selected. Invert filters.
So now that is supposedly blue text on yellow, but again, it still looks black to me. Don't know about the rest of you. Let me see if I can. What if I go closer? Yeah, that still looks black to me.
Selected.
Let's flip it again. Yep, still looks black to me. Sure, somebody out there sees blue, but I'm not. Alrighty, anyway, carrying on. Sorry, I keep going the opposite way. Okay, so now we've got the blue text on white. So that looks more blue to me. Alright, so we got blue text on white.
Current filter. Blue. Selected. Invert filters. Invert filters.
And then white text or gray text on blue, but it's supposed to be white text on blue. So once again,
selected. Invert filters.
Blue on white-ish.
Invert filters.
Whitish text on blue.
Current filter.
Moving on, now we are back to none. So this is the normal, unfiltered version, and then we're going to invert that.
Selected. Invert filters.
There we go. So it kind of looks, yeah, I guess that would be yellow on black.
Invert filters.
There we go. So you get the hang of it. All right. So going back now to the middle controls, we have gone. Actually, before I go there, I'll just say that this other little button on the lower right-hand side is on the last line of controls within this second screen. This is just to take us back to the previous screen. So I'll just show you that real quick.
Return to magnifier. Magnification view.
So that took us back to the screen where we've got the freeze frame button, the focus lock button, the flash button, and the zoom button. All right, so going back into the filters button.
Current
All
filter.
right.
None.
So, okay, so as I said, the
Swipe up or
top
down to
line
click
is
to
the
adjust the
filter
value.
control. Second line now is the brightness
Brightness,
control, so
40%,
we'll tap
adjustable.
that. So if you're
Swipe up or
using
down with one finger to
VoiceOver, you
adjust the
just
value.
tap it, and then you can just swipe up or down to adjust the brightness accordingly. So I'll just do that to show you.
50%, 60, 70, 80%, 90, 100,
So
100,
that's
100%.
maximum brightness, which basically whites everything out.
90, 80, 7, 6, 5, 4, 30, 20, 10%, 0, 0,
And you
0%,
can actually get it to its
10%, 20%, 30,
practically
40, 50,
dark
60%,
screen.
50, 40, 30%, 20, 10, 0,
This
0,
is
0%,
all the
10,
way.
20, 30, 40, 50%, 40%.
This is about
50%.
50-ish%. Okay, then we've got the
100%,
contrast.
adjustable.
And
Swipe up or
once
down with
again,
one
just
finger to
tap
adjust
it,
the value.
and again, just swipe up and down accordingly to adjust.
100, 100, 100, 100%.
So this is maximum contrast.
90, 80, 7, 6, 5, 4, 30, 20, 10, 0, 0%.
This is the least contrast. That looks
10%,
horrible.
20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70%, 60%, 50, 40%, 50%, 60%, 50%.
Well, it's about mid contrast. And that really is all there is to it.
Return to
So
magnifier. Button.
super, super simple app.
Return to magnifier.
I was trying it the other day while I was watching Game of Thrones, actually, because of course they had more freaking subtitles, and I had the Apple TV accessibility feature enabled where it reads subtitles, but Game of Thrones unfortunately doesn't support that feature, so I was stuck having to read the subtitles on my own. So even though I have a giant TV, I still can't read subtitles from the couch. So what I usually do with that is take out my phone and just magnify it with the camera. But I just decided that I would try the actual magnification feature. And I found it kind of frustrating. I'm going to try it again actually tonight with, I'm sure there'll be more subtitles with Daenerys and everybody, but I'm going to try it again. But when I was trying it the other day, I was trying to adjust, and I've just found that the text wasn't working so well with this magnifier app. But I realized afterwards that it was probably user error, because I don't recall if I tried the different filters, but I don't recall adjusting the contrast and brightness. So I'm going to try that again. I was just trying to tap the screen like you would regularly with the camera, and dragging around doing that stuff. That didn't really do anything. And then I tried to unlock the focus and do that. Still, the text wasn't readable. It kept just totally whiting out. So I'm going to try it again. And if I don't totally forget, I will try to report back in a future video. But I'm going to assume that was just my oversight with not adjusting the contrast. I was thinking it might have been a focus issue, but now on second thought, I think if I adjusted the contrast, that may have solved the issue, or the brightness. Actually, probably a combo of both, but possibly brightness, possibly contrast. So I'll get back to you. I'll see if that works with magnification of on-screen text from far away. But as far as a regular setting, like looking at something on a piece of paper, the controls work beautifully, except for that red on black and black on red. That's just if you need that for your visual impairment, please don't send me hate mail. It's just for my vision, that is just horrible. It's like the worst combination ever. So to the sighted people out there, there's a lot of visually impaired people where black on red and red on black doesn't look good for text, but there are some obviously where it does work, hence why it's a filter. So anyway,
Settings.
so enough about the magnification filter. Let me actually just turn
Alert. Accessibility shortcuts.
VoiceOver
Selected.
off.
VoiceOver. Button. Selected.
real
VoiceOver off.
quick. All right, so my thoughts. I already did a video talking a lot about the features in the iPhone 7 Plus. So I'm not going to go on too long about it, but I really did surprise myself on how long I've used this. So for those who haven't seen my previous video about it, the main reason why I decided to finally jump back to the iPhone and give it a try after ditching it. I ditched the iPhone 4 when phones started getting bigger. When the Note 2 came out, I ditched iOS. Partially, I always kept an iPads and I always had Apple TV, but for my main phone, I'd gone over to Android. But with the 7 Plus, it was bigger with a 256 gig hard drive. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to cross over. So really, it was the amount of space along with the dual camera features I thought were really cool. And so I thought, you know what, I'm just going to try it. So how have I found it over the last 9 months? Well, as I said, I'm still using it. Part of the reason why I'm still using it is I'm still going through vacation photos from last year when I was in the UK for 3 weeks. And so I kind of thought to myself, well, I'm going to keep using the phone until I'm done going through all those photos. Although I could very well go through all the photos on Wi-Fi without cellular coverage, and but for whatever reason, I decided that I'm going to keep using it until I'm done going through all those photos, which I'm actually going to try doing later on, finishing later on today. So get that all done before I start my new job and have no brain cells left after that. But other than the space, really I love the space because I can have all my music, don't necessarily have to rely on streaming, although I am using streaming a little bit more because I upgraded my phone plan a little bit to have a little bit more bandwidth on that. Other than that, there isn't, I would love to be able to say, oh, there's like tons of features I absolutely love, but really it's simplistic interface. It has not changed much since the iPhone 4 days, other than the fact it's just bigger. And they've done lots of tweaks. Of course, there's don't send me hate mail. Of course, there's lots of improvements they've done. The camera has improved tremendously. Lots of things have changed, little fine tuning they've done, but really it's an iPhone. It looks pretty much the same, a little nicer of course than it did back in the iPhone 4 days. It's bigger. One thing I really love about the iPhone is iMessage, and I have a message open here. Let me just see if it's still there. So this is just a generic message I got from my phone company. I don't care if I'm with Bell. You can see that right up on the upper corner anyway. So I love the big text in the iMessage, which I find, I'm not going to go into Facebook Messenger because I don't really want to display my friend's name and have to edit that, but Facebook Messenger on iOS is huge, just like iMessage, and I really love that because with Android, unless you're using big font, which you can increase the font quite a bit, but to get big font to show font this size totally messes up everything else on the screen because then everything is that big. So I really love iMessage and Facebook Messenger on the iPhone 7 Plus and iOS in general because it makes both of those apps, the text is really large. Now, of course, you can get really large text like this in your regular phone's text messaging app, like if you're on a Samsung device, you can have large text like this with Textra, which I reviewed in the past, and a few others. You can have large text similar to this. But with Facebook Messenger on Android, unless you're using big font, the text is not going to be anywhere near this big. So that's another thing that's actually kept me using iPhone, is because it's just so easy to Facebook chat with friends with large text like this, whether it be on Facebook Messenger or on the messaging app. Another thing I love about iOS and the iPhone 7 Plus, which you'd actually get on any iPhone really, is the mail program. I did not appreciate the mail program back in 2010 when I got an iPhone 4, and I think that had more to do with the fact that I was not as skilled at using Voiceover as I am now. So one thing I love, and I'm not going to go into my email because I don't want to display my non-channel emails, but if you select an email using Voiceover and then swipe up or down, it will go through the different options like delete, archive, activate, etc. And especially if you're trying to catch up on email, it's such a productive way to go through your emails and just go through everything. So it's to the point now, whereas before I preferred Android's email, Google email, now I actually love Apple's email program again. So other than that, Apple's apps work. They're good. I like the fact that the photo features now they're categorized by month, and you can easily find photos that way. As far as the camera goes, well, you know what, let me just go into the camera real quick here. So I got the hang, and let me turn Voiceover on.
Voiceover on. Camera.
So I got the hang of using the camera and this little feature here with that magnifier.
1.1x.
So you can swipe up or down to change from
1.2x. 1.3x.
the different magnification levels.
1.0x. 1.0x.
And I find though that I can often use the magnification adjuster without having to turn voiceover on. The key for me, at least, is finding a high contrast background. Like if I had that in front of this piece of paper, okay, this is a bad example because I can kind of see it on there. But if I'm like outside and there's like a lot of stuff in the background, that can be a little more difficult to see if the background doesn't contrast with it. But if you can just find something that's dark enough in your environment to contrast with that little icon, I find you can adjust it. But you know what? You can just adjust it without having to tap that anyway. I just find if I just zoom in on the screen without having that button tapped, so I'm just going to quickly turn voiceover off, just 1 second.
Alert. Selected. Selected. Voiceover off.
So I can just zoom in on that screen and it will just zoom full anyway without me having to tap on this button accordingly. So I can still get that same level. Let me just turn it off. See, it's the same. I think it's the same. Hold on. Yeah, it's the same level. So you can get there in the end. It's just by tapping that button, it's a faster way to get to that level. But other than that, let me just turn voiceover back on real quick.
Voiceover on. Camera. Flash.
So you've got all your controls. There's the that portrait mode. About the portrait mode, that's the fancy mode where you can have yourself in focus or whoever you're taking the portrait of, and then the background blurry. I've used it on a couple of occasions. I don't use it nearly as much as I would have thought. It's a very cool filter, and when with the right picture and the right background, the right settings, it is awesome. Absolutely awesome. You can take some amazing pictures with that way, but it's not something that you use a whole lot because the object, in order for the filter to work properly, you need to be close enough to the object at hand in order to really take advantage of that filter. Otherwise it literally won't work. When you're trying to activate that feature, it will actually bring up a little yellow
depth effect disabled. Move
indicator on your screen. Let's see if I need something in front of something to make it even work. Let's see if I can get it to. Of course, now I'm trying to demonstrate it. This is a bad example. My magnifier, which is like horrible. It's like taped together. Okay, I can't seem to. I think I'm too close. Okay, I'm not going to demonstrate that now. It's not wanting to work for me. But anyway, if you've got an iPhone 7 Plus, or if you've played with a friend's iPhone 7 Plus or in the store, you'll see the feature I'm talking about. It does bring up this. Oh, let me just see. Did I even select portrait? Maybe that's the no. Yeah, I've got portrait selected. Yeah, but anyway, you'll see the feature if you play around with it. If you get that sweet spot, it will actually bring up that yellow indicator, letting you know that you're good to go. But other than that, yeah, my only other thing that I don't like, actually my only complaint really about the camera is that when you're recording, because of the location, like because these controls, they're right by the shutter button. So when you're recording a video, it is so easy to accidentally, now it's harder if you're using VoiceOver actually to do this, but if you're partially sighted like me, there's going to be times where you are filming something and not using VoiceOver. Case in point, if I'm at a concert, sorry Brian, that's directed to my favorite singer who doesn't like us taking pictures or filming anything. But if you're at a concert and you're trying to take a short little video of a certain someone, you can accidentally end up going into slow-mo. Now, there is a way actually to undo that. I won't get into that now, but I had to discover that the hard way because I did some video and I went to play it back and it was slow motion. I'm like, oh my God, how do I undo this? And I couldn't undo it on my Mac. I'm sure there's probably some way that I could have done it, but I actually went into iMovie on my iPhone and had to undo it there. There's a way to undo the filters and whatnot. So that's a little pet peeve, is it's almost like I wish these controls were on the opposite side to where the shutter is. Last but not least, my other pet peeve is the Widget Drawer, which in some ways it's cool, it's on the side, but I still prefer the Android style where the widgets are right on your main screen. If I want to see the time, I have to turn my phone off and then turn it back on in order to see the big clock. Or I have to turn VoiceOver on and then
Messages.
go
Alert. Accessibility shortcuts. Selected. VoiceOver off.
to the top. And I think I just turned VoiceOver off because I can't hear what my phone's doing.
VoiceOver on.
I have to turn VoiceOver on, go to the top, and have it
Write
speak
down
the
features revealed in the
time.
notification center.
Which is
Swipe up
fine
the
if you're
features
using
revealed in the
VoiceOver all the
control
time,
center.
but
Double tap
again,
to
if
scroll
you're partial like me, sometimes it's nice to just have the big, just press your home button and you've got the clock right in front of you, which is what you have with an Android device. So that's still a pet peeve of mine. I do have another big clock app that I can go
Utilities
into.
folder.
Actually, I'll just
23
bring it up
apps.
real quick
Open
here.
Utilities folder. Theme clock. Theme clock.
So I've got this app, but oh, and hey, it didn't give me an error. They must have fixed the issues they had with iOS, whatever the heck we're on now, 11 point something or other, 10 point something. I don't even know anymore. Anyway, but yeah, they fixed that
Theme clock.
issue,
Camera.
so we'll just
Camera. Active.
close that later
clock.
because my
Double tap to
fingers
closing
don't want
utilities
to
folder.
cooperate.
Utilities folder.
All right,
23
so
apps. 6 new items. YouTube.
the
10
other
items.
thing though
tap
that
to
bugs me about the
Actions
widget drawer is not all the widgets work all the time. So I'll just demonstrate that. And I'm actually going to cut right to the widget because it's got some private notifications I don't want to display,
to
but
open.
just
Actions
bear with me. I'm
available.
going to cut to it here.
Pa-
Okay, so here we are in the widgets. And you'll notice we've got the no upcoming destinations. That's fine. That widget's working. But below it, we've got the built-in stocks widget that comes on every single iPhone. It almost never works on my iPhone. So then you end up having to go directly into the stocks app instead, which is fair enough. It's a couple extra tabs. But what's the point of having a widget if it doesn't work? And that's a constant issue. It's almost never. I think I've maybe seen it work once or twice, and then it just never wants to load ever. And this is like in the middle of the day when the markets are open, and it's like, hello. No, I'm sure half of you probably don't even give a crap about the stocks widget, but it's just a pet peeve of mine. It's like that's one of the native widgets to the iPhone. Why doesn't it work? So. Other than that, though,
Page 2 of 4.
I'm sorry I'm babbling on about this longer than I anticipated, but, it's a simple phone, awesome for space, camera works awesome, love the large text on the messaging app and the Facebook Messenger, especially Facebook Messenger, which is, of course, Facebook's doing, but, well, I don't know if it's Facebook's doing. Must be Apple's doing because I've got obviously that only is large when you've got the accessibility feature with the large text enabled. For some reason it's not big on Android like it is on the Apple phone. So those I've really been loving. And there was one other little thing I want to mention. Oh, VoiceOver. So several videos back, okay, lots and lots of videos back, I had mentioned at some point, you can do anything with TalkBack that you can do with VoiceOver. They really are on par these days. And I still stand by that statement, but there's just something about VoiceOver that just makes it's just that much easier to use. TalkBack has some really crazy gestures. If you haven't seen my 15 TalkBack gestures video, go check that out if you're an Android person or if you're debating between iOS and Android. Although in the simple scheme of things, you can get by with just a couple of very simple gestures that are very similar to VoiceOver gestures. So yes, they're still similar. There are still differences between the two. But on the everyday scheme of things, I can be so productive in getting through messages and lots of text using VoiceOver. And that is another thing that has kept me using this phone. I keep meaning to go back to my Android, but the fact that I've got this huge music library that I don't have to subscribe to Spotify for $10 a month in order, I can listen to an album in its proper order. I don't have to go on Spotify and only get an album in random orders because I refuse to pay $10 a month for that service for music that I already own in the first place. So, just the space, the ease of VoiceOver, and the text messaging, those are really and the camera. Those are the really big things that have kept me using this phone. It's to the point now when I was using my Nexus the other day for something, I think because my iPhone the battery had died, and it just felt weird and a little bit awkward with TalkBack. Now give me a couple days back on that device and I'll be zooming around TalkBack as well. And you can still be productive with TalkBack, and there's actually some differences with TalkBack, especially like when you're in Facebook. Like Voiceover cannot read Facebook translations, and sometimes you get someone's posting in a different language. Voiceover can't read the translation. I know I've heard a few people complain about that. It's still an issue, but with TalkBack actually reads the translations in Facebook, which is kind of cool. So it's a small thing, but it's helpful. So there's still little differences like that. So I am going to try and get on to finishing my vacation photos today so I can get back to the Nexus, which I basically used for a month and then started using the iPhone 7 Plus for like 9 months. So so we'll see. It's going to be awkward kind of going back to Android, but I still I prefer the Android screen and all the bells and whistles that come, with the gadgets that come along with Android. But I will certainly miss the bigger amount of space that I have on the iPhone 7 Plus, and the speakers are actually pretty cool. I've been enjoying that, even though the bottom speaker is kind of awkwardly placed on the side instead of the front. I found that it's not as awkward as I thought it was going to be. Listening to it, you just cup your hand around it and it just sounds okay. So, but anyway, this video has ended up being way longer than I thought. It was supposed to be nice and short, and it's not again. So I'm going to shut up now, but thanks again, everybody, for hanging in there while I've been on my very extended break. It lasted much longer than I anticipated. Looking for a job is like 10 jobs in and of itself. I'm sure those of you who are searching as well. I know my fellow Blind Mouse YouTuber, Danny Amescua, was going through the same thing, and congrats, Danny. He just got a job as well. It's a lot of hard work if you're really dedicated to it, but it's challenging out there because not all employers, there's a lot of employers that aren't willing to take that chance, but you just got to keep at it. And maybe I'll do another video someday about all that and things you can do to, help your job search, because as visually impaired and disabled people, we need all the help we can get. And I actually did seek extra help from a local disabled organization, and it made all the difference. So, but yeah, so one thing I did want to mention, sorry, before I go, is I'm not sure what my schedule is going to be like for the next while. My new job, although as I mentioned in my previous video, although it's pretty much exactly what I used to do, just a different company, there's still extensive training. Like, we're talking several months worth of training. It's not just, training for a week and you're on the job. It's several months. So this year seems to be a write-off as far as regular videos goes. I can't promise I'll be doing a video every week at this point, or even every month. It's training. I know it's gonna be a lot. I'm gonna be probably tired because I'm going to be doing a lot of reading, and because not all of the material is voiceover and accessible, or Zoom text screen reader accessible, so which means I'm going to have to use magnification. Everything's going to take longer, which is fine. I use a lot of magnification on the desktop anyway, so I can do it. It's just it's going to be an adjustment getting back into all that. So If it's a while before oh my god, it's 8:35. If it's a while before I get back to you guys, I haven't forgotten about you. But thanks again for sticking around, and for the subscribers that are new, I've got lots of other videos to keep you entertained. So check those out if you haven't already. And I'm just going to leave it at that before this video gets even longer. So thanks very much for watching, and I'll talk to you in the next video.